In this video, we're going to be setting up the Liberty pricing guide. Something of note, we'll be using cars and car brands as they better exemplify what we'll be going over rather than traditional consignment store stock. Now let's get started. Before doing so, we need to ensure that our categories are set up with brand attributes, so the pricing guide will pick them up. To do this, we're going to go to Setup, Categories, and then Category Editor. From here, we need to ensure that the categories that we're looking to add to the pricing guide again have brand attributes. In this video, we're just going to use one category. Notice we don't have any brand attributes on the right-hand panel. To fix this, we're going to go to Add, and then choose the attribute that we're going to use as the brand. In this example, we'll use car brand. Notice on the right-hand side, I've already filled out a number of values that we're going to use as our brands. Before setting up the pricing guide, you want to ensure that your brand attributes already have the values filled in for your different brands. If they have been filled in through item entry, you're going to want to make sure that they all are consistent. This can be done by going to Setup, Categories, then Attribute Types, where you can edit your attribute values. Now that we've selected the correct attribute we want to use as our brand, we'll go ahead, hit OK, and then ensure that the attribute kind is changed to brand. That way the pricing guide picks it up. After hitting OK, we're going to hit OK on the Maintain Categories menu, and we can start setting up our pricing guide. To do so, we're going to go to Setup, Pricing Guide, and then we need to add that category to the pricing guide so we can start setting up our brand levels and pricing structure. To add the category, we're going to go to Add, and then find the category in the tiered structure, then select it and hit OK. Now notice after we've added the category, we only have one brand level. This may or may not be useful to you depending on how you wish to divide out your brands. Basically, what brand levels do is they allow you to, again, logically divide out your brands so you can create different pricing structures for different brands. So, for example, for cars, like we're doing now, we may want to divide them up into maybe domestic brands, non-domestic brands, and some higher-end brands. So to do this, we're going to go to the Brand Levels tab, and then select the correct attribute that we want, which in this case will be called a brand type. So now we've selected our correct brand type, we want to go ahead and divide out our brands across multiple levels into those groups we talked about before, which would be domestic brands, non-domestic brands, and then some higher-end brands. To do this, we'll go ahead and select the brand, and then move it with the right arrows and the left arrows across the different brand levels. Notice that Liberty does create extra brand levels as we need them, as we move them left and right. So now I'll go ahead and divide these out so we have something to go off of. As you can see here, I divided our brands out into the structure we mentioned previously. Go ahead and hit the Save button. And now from here, we can actually go start setting up the core of our pricing guide. To do so, we'll go back to the Pricing Guides tab, make sure we select the correct category that we're looking to set up a pricing guide for, and then move over to the right-hand panel where we now have our brand levels that we just set up. Again, the purpose of these brand levels is to create different pricing structures for different groups of brands. Commonly, the pricing structures reflect different grades or conditions of the items within the brand levels. However, you can set them up as best fits your needs. So to set up our pricing structure within a brand level, we first need to figure out exactly what structure we want to use. For this example, since we're using cars, we can set them up in terms of condition, such as like new, used, and junker. And obviously we'll want them in order of best condition to worst condition. So to do this, we're going to want to go to Add, and then start creating the different conditions for our pricing structure. So to do this, we'll need to fill out the description, which will be the label for this level of the pricing structure, and then the price will be the recommended selling price. The sort order shows how high or low it sits in the list. This is a zero-based value, so you'll start counting from 0 to 1 to 2 and so on and so forth, with 0 being the highest level. As Junker is the lowest of our three, we're going to make this 2, again going 0, 1, then 2, with 2 being the lowest. And then we'll hit OK, and then we'll start adding the rest. Now that we have added the pricing structure for each brand level, we are basically done. And of course, we'll want to see our work in action. So let's add some items using the pricing guide now. To do so, we're going to hit Close to close out of the pricing guide setup, go to our account list, double-click on the account we want to add items to, and then from here we'll go to Add Inventory to start entering items. As we start entering our new item, we'll do it as normal, until we get to the price field. Depending on the brand we selected, it will show the different pricing levels that we set up. If you want to use one of them, click on the one that applies to the item, and it will automatically fill it in. And then you can continue the item entry process. This concludes the training session for setting up the pricing guide in Liberty React.